Hey there everyone, welcome back to another bite-sized review. Today we'll be taking a look at another horror movie. I'm going to try to get these out every so often. I do like horror. I appreciate it much more now than I did when I was younger. Um, and I've grown quite used to the horror genre for the most part. And so this is one of the first ones that I watched. This is Paranormal Activity from 2007. It was directed by Oren Peli, and it stars a few people. We have, let's see, the main characters we're following are Katie and Micah, who are this young couple living in the suburban area. And Katie is being haunted by some sort of mysterious paranormal presence. And so she and Micah set out to kind of discover what this is. It's a pretty simple story. They both live together in this kind of small apartment, and so Katie and Micah are just getting to like move in together, and so Micah discovers that Katie's being haunted, and so he buys this video camera, which cost a lot of money, and so he begins to document all these strange happenings every night at around 3 a.m. or just when they go to bed. That's where most of the scares happen. So this is very similar to the Blair Witch Project, which came out in 1999, so a few years before this one. And it's essentially a found footage film, so everything you're seeing is like on a video camera kind of moving throughout the house. And most of the daytime scenes are pretty fun. This is an R-rated movie, so there is some cursing, so just be aware of that. There's no real blood or gore, but there is violence. It does happen. It's kind of a slow burn movie. So essentially, the beginning of the film is very upbeat. It's very just normal and just fun and just comedic at most of the time. But then each night, it slowly starts to get worse and worse and worse until by the ending, it's so bad that you won't believe the ending. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's one of those slow burn films. Like the Blair Witch is also a slower film. Like it takes its time to get going, is essentially what that means. So Paranormal Activity is a great film. We have the two main characters, Katie and Micah. They're actually played by a Katie and a Micah. So Micah Sloat, who's acting for Micah, and then Katie Featherson, who is also the actor for Katie. It's interesting that they use their actual names, their actual first names, I should say. There's not much casting in this film. We do have some other characters. We have Amber, who is Katie's best friend, who comes occasionally. And then we have a psychic, who is called Dr. Fredericks. And yeah, I believe his name is Mark Fredericks. And yeah, that's the cast. It's very minimal. It's very minimalistic. It's just very small because this is one of those smaller films. It is about an hour and 26 minutes. And yeah, it's a really enjoyable film. If you love horror, if you like slower moving movies, you'll be surprised how far this escalates in terms of what is haunting Katie. It appears to be just connected to her, so it's not really Micah. All he does is just make it angry, but whatever is haunting her, it appears to be connected to her past. At least that's what we think. It's a really fun horror movie. It does take a while to get going, though. There's a lot of dialogue at mostly the first half. So if you're not a fan of like talking scenes, you may not like this as much. But when it gets to Micah recording at nighttime, that's when it really gets up. That's when it picks up. At first, there is like just a door moving slowly, escalates from there. It just goes bonkers, just off the walls. I have not seen the sequels to Paranormal Activity. I assume that they probably connect in some ways to this first one. And yeah, I haven't heard too much about the sequels. I just hear that they're mixed, the reception. But this first movie is very good and it has a great score on Rotten Tomatoes. It still gets praise. It's slow, but it's realistic. at least at points. It does feel a little ridiculous that they don't get out of the house as soon as things get really bad. That's like probably one of my few complaints. Um, and they get into a few fights. They do. There's points that Katie has to have alone time away from Micah, and Micah just he cares a lot more about the camera than with Kate, or he cares more for the camera than for Katie at certain points, and he tries to do these ridiculous experiments, and he's just filming everything, and it gets a little out of hand. One of my favorite scenes, however, is the pool scene. It's really funny. There's some comedy here. It's kind of sprinkled throughout, which is nice. Um, and it's great. The direction's great. The look of it is great. I think the best parts of this movie are when you're at night and it's in the bedroom where they're sleeping, and the camera's on and it just keeps recording, just silence pretty much, and until the ghostly happenings start showing up. That's like some of the best parts. Is that. So that is great. There is an alternate ending, so if you have the DVD like I do, there actually is an alternate ending. I think there's actually three different endings. The one that's obviously on the DVD or on the movie, that's the correct ending, I guess you could say. But there is some really interesting alternate takes, which I really liked. And yeah, this film was great. It's acted really well. It feels like it's in the same universe as the Blair Witch, although obviously they're not. They're completely different, but it has that similar feel. If you love the Blair Witch or really like that first movie, then you're probably gonna like this one. It feels very similar with a very very small cast. Slow things start happening, or slowly things start happening. And yeah, there's not much of a music score. It's really just audio. There's no real music. The credits are really interesting. And I found there was a very good balance between the scares that happen in the night scenes, and then a lot of the daytime scenes are pretty enjoyable for the most part. There are some points that the actors are obviously fighting, or the characters are fighting, so it gets a little tense at some points. Um, Especially near the end, that is when it gets really crazy. So yeah, if you like slower type of moving movies, you're probably gonna like this. When I first watched it, I didn't know what to expect, but I found I really enjoyed it. I'm already really interested in the paranormal, like in general. So that already got me, engaged and interested. So that was fun. I really liked the performances. I think in particular, Katie, she did the best job. I feel like of all the actors. There's only four of them, but you know, she did the best. I feel like, and some of the effects are amazing. Like some of the shadows on the doors in the room, and um, I don't want to spoil too much. It's hard for me to talk about this film without spoiling things, but a lot of the effects are done really well. I think they're all practical. I think only a few of them are like digital, because this was back in 2000, the 2000s, I guess. So this was back when the digital effects weren't as strong, but I guess they're just getting their footing in the CGI world, I guess you could say. Um, Micah does a good job. Um, yeah, I can't talk much more without spoiling. So, Paranormal Activity, I would highly recommend it. If you love horror movies, you're probably gonna like this one. Um, it's probably one of the creepier movies I've seen. Not so much scary. It gets way scarier at the end, near the end. I think you guys might like this. Definitely, if you're into like ghosts or like just found footage films, or you know indie type of horror films, you're gonna like this. I guarantee. Um, or I guarantee you'll just at least have a fun time with it. Paranormal Activity, 2007. Let me know what you guys think about this film. I might do a spoiler discussion at some point. Discussing the all the spoilers and stuff. Because even though it's a shorter film and it not much happens in between the scares, I think it's a pretty strong film, especially for its time. Um, but yeah, it led to a whole franchise. I might watch those at some point, but yeah, Paranormal Activity. I would recommend it. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's great. Let me know what you guys think about it. Do you like it? Do you hate it? What do you think? Please let me know. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed. Hope I didn't ruin anything for you. And I will see you in the next movie review, which will be very soon. Take care. Have an awesome day.